Good afternoon. Beautiful pool. Good afternoon. Welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about my favourite thing in the world, which is freehanding. I have my beer and I have my knitting. Grab your projects, do some knitting, do some crochet, and we'll talk about why freehanding is the best and why you should start right now. So I started the fibre arts lifestyle last Christmas, so it's almost a year since I've been doing this stuff, and I made a hat or two off a pattern, and then I learnt a raglan shape and did a few raglans from a pattern-ish, but I very quickly got bored of the pattern thing. I was getting quite understimulated and also distracted from like the interruptions that kind of come with following patterns. You know, do your steps, and then it's like, oops, stop knitting or crocheting, and what's the next step? Okay, you got the next step, blah blah blah. It was just like pulling me out of the thing. The more I was looking at other fibre artists on Instagram and YouTube, mainly Instagram, it was like, ooh, freehand, what does that mean? And it was like the answer to all of my problems. I'll include a list of my favourite freehand fibre artists right here, which you should definitely go check out if you haven't already. They make beautiful work and it's very inspiring. So yes, you should check all of these people out. Yes, it opened up everything, and I really think it's the reason why I still crochet and knit. So yes, this will be in two parts. First part, why freehanding is best, and part 2 will be how you can get going with the freehand shit. What is it about? What do you do? Where the hell do you start? I will tell you. Okay, so I guess the first thing to say about freehand is your comfort zones become unimportant. They become obsolete, I think would be the word. You have to push them away because freehand is the opposite of staying in your comfort zone. It is about pushing your boundaries creatively, technically. Really, it teaches you about risk-taking and creativity, and how nothing bad is going to happen if you take a risk and try something that you don't know how it's going to work out, or what it will look like, or what it will feel like to do it. It's like the worst that will happen is if you don't like it, and the best thing will happen is that you have an entire new technique under your belt in your process that you can use in every other piece you ever make. And so you'll do things that you might not do if you're following a pattern, because it's not about following steps. It's kind of like about following your intuition and designing and letting yourself get basically as much creative license as you want. When you're freehanding, everything you make is an original design that came from your brain and your hands, and it's something that you created, and it's yours. It's your own work, and that's something really, really special and feels amazing to achieve, because you made something go from this to a beautiful garment or whatever it is you're making. It's like Your thinking got you there. I find the pieces I'm most proud of are the ones that I took risks in and tried things that I was completely unsure of and let myself go and not stay within the confines of what I already know. The more you freehand, the more you're designing, the more refined your designs will become and the more comfortable you'll become with your process. The pieces will start looking like your pieces, you know, and that's something that it comes with work and it comes with like repetition, and it's so helpful for like confidence in your creativity and confidence in your ability as an artist. Once you start designing things in that way, it's like you're putting parts of yourself into it. The most surprising parts of freehanding that I didn't expect to happen is my self-confidence and my self-esteem improving. The more you're thinking about making it for your body and making things that feel like they're expressing yourself, and show you and have a part of you in it, and it's helping me build a really healthy relationship with myself and my identity, and that is really cool. One of my favorite things about freehand to talk about is the idea of mistakes just being completely obliterated, because, you know, when you're following a pattern, if you make a mistake, then it's like it's not going to work out. The end product isn't going to arrive where the pattern wants or needs you to. There's an end product that you're trying to reach, and so the steps are really important. But when you're freehanding, and it depends how crazy you want to get with it, but it's like you're making something that doesn't have an end product in mind, so technically mistakes aren't real. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can make a mistake, and because it's your design and because there's no end product, you can decide, is this a mistake or is this just a new thing that's now involved in this piece, and I'm going to make it work and incorporate it into the piece instead of undoing it and starting over, which you can totally do. But sometimes mistakes can work for your piece, because it could actually just be a happy accident and could end up being like the thing that makes that piece it, you know? When you are freehanding your designs and making clothes in this way, you learn very, very quickly about the construction of clothing, and you realize how many ways you can make one type of thing. And there's like thousands, maybe not thousands. This is not scientifically backed. I'm gonna say it anyway though. You can use thousands of different ways to get to something that is a top. Which brings me to my favorite way of describing freehand. If it can go around your body, it's a piece of clothing. And you can take that as literally as you want and get as weird with it as you like. Or it can be as simple as, you know, front panel, back panel, 2 straps. Or it can be like, I've made 5 different swatches in different colors and styles. I'm gonna mash them together and like see how they take the shape of a top, and then add things onto that and that and that and that. And then it's like, and then you got some weird stuff, and it starts sinking in very quickly, and it turns into this thing where it's like, oh, I can do this, and what happens if I do this, and what happens if I do this, and it's kind of just turns into this big, expansive, like, realization of how many options you have and how many like ways you can get to the place that you're kind of imagining. But how do you start freehanding? How do you go into a project with one of these and some of these and make something, but you don't know what you're going to make? Here are the best tips and pieces of advice that I can give you. Learn the basic techniques for crochet. You'll want to know how to do a single crochet, double crochet, half double crochet, treble crochet, all of the main ones. Foundation rows, increases and decreases. For knitting, you want to know the knit stitch, purl stitch, how to join it in the round, how to cast on, how to bind off, increases, decreases. These next ones go for either knitting or crochet, but how to sew together pieces, like with a tapestry needle, making seams and, you know, sewing together panels and whatever you would like to sew together. How to change colors is probably a good basic technique to know how to do as well, so you can keep it interesting and not, you know, have everything as one color. You can do different colored stuff. I found it really helpful to learn how to make a raglan for knitting and crochet, because then you can kind of like start expanding out from the basic raglan steps, but there are like basic steps and techniques for increasing a raglan sweater or top or whatever it is. I think that is a really good sweater technique to learn, because you can really do a lot with that shape and, like I said, expand and get weird with where the increases are and whatever. But yeah, learning all the basic techniques, it's like the whole thing of learn the rules, break the rules. Sketch out your ideas. They can be as detailed or as vague as you want. Sometimes sketching them out is good if you don't feel completely comfortable just going in with a blindfold, just head first. I don't know what's gonna happen here. That is really fun, but sometimes it's a little bit too much, especially when you're just starting. So sketching out little ideas is sometimes a good way to like start getting shape ideas and color ideas and whatever to get you started, because then you can start thinking about like what techniques would I use to achieve this. The important part is how you get there, and so with the getting there part, you really have to trust that you know what you're doing. You have to trust yourself, and you have to get ready to frog things. Don't be mistaken, you will fuck up. Sometimes freehanding works out first time and it's like magic, and just like, perfect, that's exactly what I wanted, exactly what I was thinking, it fits perfectly, yay, 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 yay. But this is not always the case. If you're like me and refuse to waste time with gauge swatches and would rather waste your time frogging, then you will be frogging things. Because it's not like a plan, right? Things happen where it's like, oh, that didn't really work out how I was wanting it to. And that's cool. That's just, it's something to accept. This is how freehand humbles you. And you'll learn very quickly to be okay with having to slow down and having to rewind and restart and accept that it's like, oh, that was hours of work. Too bad. The feeling of finishing a piece always puts it into context. It's okay. It happens to the best of us. It happens to everyone. If it's not happening, then you're not pushing yourself hard enough. That's a little bit intense. It doesn't have to be that intense. It's that intense for me. I see things very seriously. This is very serious. Going on from the construction of clothes thing, something that you can do actively to actually, like, you know, help this part is studying your clothes. Like, literally get your clothes when you're in the shops, study them, like, how are they seamed together? What is one entire panel? What is two panels mixed together? What is like all in one thing? Like, literally, like, study them, like reverse it into your own practice and like think, how would I get to that? How would this feel to like make a seam like that? Or like get to like the details of it. Study photos of other people's work. Like, when I'm looking at other people's work, it's like, how that would have been made. Like, is that all one piece, or is that a few panels, or is that like blah blah blah? Do you know what I mean? Obviously, when you're looking at other people's, don't copy. That goes without saying. Don't copy the work. Just like study the construction of it. That will really help inform like how you make clothes. Like, you have to know what a finished product looks like. So go to your wardrobe right now, rip out some clothes, and like just take a look at them. It's like, how was this made? And my final tip is to do it. A lot of the time, the idea I have in my head isn't how it ends up, and I think that's a good thing. I really am I'm obsessed with not adhering to any rules. with creative stuff, but it's like that is the exciting part of it. Go grab your yarn, go grab your needles, your crochet hook, just start making something and see how you get there, and allow yourself to make decisions on the go. You'll be making decisions on the go, and that's the stimulating part of it. Kind of go into it with like this willingness to play around with the steps and make up your own steps and take each step a step at a time. And just practice some rule breaking. Go be a rebel, break some rules. If you have experience with crochet and knitting, you can freehand. Anyone can do it. It is the entire point, is that it can be as simple or as complicated as you want it to be. The point of it is to go into a flow state, go into the process, really involved in it. Try out breaking away from the back and forth of like making and then follow the pattern and then making and follow the pattern. It's like, it is so liberating and so exciting and stimulating and thrilling to just be involved in your piece completely from the start to the end, because it's coming from you. It's really changed my relationship with how I make clothes and how I create and how I design and how I think about physical expression. I hope these help. If you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the comments. If you have any other thoughts, like, open up the discussion. I love talking about this so much. I will talk about this all day, every day if you want me to. You might not want that, and that's okay. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye, friends.